Hi, and welcome to week 2 of our Staying Healthy Throughout the Holiday Season video tips. So this week I'm going to talk a little bit about, I mentioned last week when we talked about willpower, a little bit about a cleanse that I'm doing. And I don't think cleanse is the best word for it, but I'll just tell you a little bit about it. So, until Thanksgiving, I had been staying away from grains, mainly gluten type wheat grains, and coffee, sugar, and dairy. And it's part of it is an exercise in willpower, to be perfectly honest. To try and stay away from all of those things is fairly difficult. Especially for me, coffee is a big one just because it's part of my morning routine. So to not have that is a big difference. But of course there's other little, not necessarily even substitutions, but better choices that you can make. So I've been drinking a lot of tea. And I just, in general, I feel better when I don't eat a lot of grains, the gluten-y grains and dairy. So again, it's part of willpower. But it's nice too because I find that when I don't eat them for a long period of time, like I said, I feel better. So it's really nice. And then one thing that you can accomplish by doing this kind of eating plan too is what's called an elimination diet. And so if you feel like there's some foods that have been giving you issues but you're not quite sure, and you can actually have a reaction to food up to 3 days after you eat it. It can happen immediately or it can happen up to 3 days afterwards. So you might be feeling kind of crummy and not really knowing what food to attribute it to. So you can do a program like this where you cut that food out completely and then you add it back in slowly and see if you have a reaction to it. It's a pretty useful tool. Hopefully you won't have a very bad reaction, but if you're truly really allergic to something, then you probably already know by now. So I wanted to make this week kind of short and quick. And again, just talk a little bit about that and the exercise and willpower. And I feel like too, it makes it a lot easier going into Thanksgiving because I've already been not eating those type of foods that are traditionally kind of, in a sense, triggers for me to just go off the deep end. So, it happens to a lot of people where you're running late for breakfast and you grab a donut and you say, oh, well, the whole day's ruined. I'm just going to eat like crap for the rest of the day. And so this is a nice thing to do so that even if you're at Thanksgiving dinner and you maybe fall off the wagon from healthy eating, it's okay. It's just one meal. Get right back on, but don't, say, oh, the weekend's ruined, so now I'm just going to eat whatever I want. So this cleanse, elimination diet type thing is just, like I said, a helpful tool in personal restraint. So next week we're going to talk a little bit about different recipes that you can use, especially for Thanksgiving and just around the holidays, some comfort foods that don't necessarily have to be junk foods. We'll see you next week.